Well, hello there, my name is Felix, and this is briefly everything. So history is a bit vague the further we go back, and it gets even vaguer because in this video we'll sort of roughly start around 1700 BC, and we will finish this video roughly around 1700 BC. So one timeline with just one timestamp. Please enjoy. Today we'll be discussing, Judaism, the Bible, and we'll mention this guy called Abraham. But before we get talking about the Bible, I'd like to start here in Mexico, where we had one of our first civilizations before, and that would be Caral. Oh no, these guys seem to be, no more. Oh, that's very sad. Oh, and we didn't even get to say goodbye. The Caral civilization fell around 1700 BCE. Almost 2,000 years will have to do it for them this time. That is still, mind you, 8 times longer than the US has existed to this date, so they're definitely worth a mention at least. The Minoans, unofficially known as the first Greeks, at this time had existed for 1,000 years, and it's believed a huge earthquake destroyed most of their grand buildings. Oh, poor them, you might think, but no, actually, they didn't give up for that. Instead, they went at it again. And it's around this time that we reach the apex of Minoan civilization, during which they built impressive monuments and an extensive road network, thanks to which today we've even found Minoan pottery all the way in ancient Egypt here and in Mesopotamia. Here's, by the way, the palace at Knossos, which was at the heart of Minoan civilization. And remember, all of this is still 1,000 years before, common known ancient Greece is ever mentioned. So these guys here are actually ancient Greeks, I guess we can call them, starting to forge their Greek history much earlier than you might have thought. Now in Mesopotamia we have more advanced civilizations that have already emerged, the Assyrians, and now the Babylonians as well. And I guess you could call Babylon the birthplace of the 3 great monotheistic religions, that being Christianity, Judaism and Islam, because this is where the voice of God came to Abraham when he was 75 years old, basically telling him to, pack up and leave for that place called Canaan, which is a large area around current-day Israel, I guess we can say. God would then bless him and his people here with a new home. He also casually threw in the demand that everyone needed to be circumcised, and bearing in mind that these were times without anesthesia, it's amazing how Abraham was able to gather up so many male followers. I skipped some details here, but we're basically talking about the covenant of pieces, which is mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. Abraham here is widely known as the first Jew, and with God's request to bring his people to Canaan, we get the expression that the Jews, they're the chosen ones, they're the chosen people. By the way, Canaan was supposedly the name of Noah's grandson, which is what gave the place its name. Now Canaan would be this area around here, so I guess we can call it Israel, but also Lebanon and Syria, and we'll talk much more about this place, so it's good that we understand where it is. I'll also make sure that I remind you later on as well. Before we move on beyond Abraham here, I want to cover what preceded him, of which we have no concrete history, but that of the Old Testament. So this is when history treads on the brink of, fiction. So first of all, we have Adam and Eve. I guess you've heard of these guys, they were the first humans, supposedly. Then after that, we have Noah, who built the ark to save all the humans from the flood. Then after Noah, we have Shem, who's worth noting because this is where we get the name Semitic from. And worth noting here is that both Islam and Judaism and even Christianity sprung from this. So a Christian being anti-Semitic in the word's literal sense doesn't really make a lot of, sense, as a Christian is just as much of a Semite as a Jew, or a Muslim for that matter, because we all have our common ancestor in Shem. And this guy Shem now is actually a bit underappreciated in my opinion, because Arabic, Amharic, Tigrinya, Hebrew, and many more languages today, spoken by over 300 million people, are referred to as Semitic languages, which is a term you might have heard of before. Well, all of these languages are Semitic languages because they all stem from this guy Shem. So his name, though we don't talk about him too much, it still echoes on. And then we arrive at Abraham, who is a descendant of Shem. Again, none of this can be verified, so we recommend you bring a whole salt mill for this one. Now let's keep going from Abraham, who had 2 sons, Ishmael and Isaac. Their firstborn, Ishmael, is viewed as the patriarch for the Arab people, and Isaac here, who Abraham supposedly got when he was around 100 years old, was about to be sacrificed actually by his own father, Abraham then, to prove his devotion to God. But Abraham didn't have to kill his own son when God saw his commitment, so this here pretty much sums up the story arc for Abraham. He talked to God. God told him to go to Canaan. He did so. And today, Abraham is the founding father of the largest religions today. Well, I guess you can say. Again, that being Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Today now was dominated by the Old Testament, treading on the side of fiction in this one a little bit, more than usual. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it, as I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you about all of these things, learning about them and teaching them to you. If you want more, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see more of you. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.